You hear it everywhere. At the doctor's office, in the waiting room, on every bottle of vitamins, on late-night commercials with smiling actors who whisper about numbers as if they're sacred. Blood pressure, two numbers that carry so much weight. And yet, for something so often measured, so often discussed, it still feels like a mystery. You can do everything right, and the numbers still creep up. You can feel fine and still get told to watch it. You take the walk. You eat the salad. You try to stress less. But the moment you sit down in that cold exam room, the cuff wraps around your arm like a warning bell, and suddenly you're holding your breath, literally and figuratively. Maybe it's been that way for years. Maybe it's just begun. Either way, the pressure isn't just in your arteries. It's in your thoughts, in the way your heart skips when you see the monitor light up, in the quiet frustration of doing your best and not seeing the change. So today, I want to take the conversation somewhere softer, slower, somewhere where the numbers matter. Yes, but your peace matters more. Because your blood pressure is not just a number, it's a rhythm. And that rhythm is influenced by more than food and pills. It's shaped by your breath, your thoughts, your posture, your daily pauses. It's not just about restriction. It's about permission. To feel safe, to feel steady, to feel like your body is being supported, not constantly corrected. And that's what this video is about. Not alarm, not guilt, not pressure to be perfect, but 6 quiet habits that support healthy blood pressure in ways you may not have heard before. No extremes, no expensive supplements, just real things, real rhythms, things that work with the body, not against it. You might already be doing some of them without even knowing. Others might feel like gentle experiments, easy enough to try, powerful enough to shift how your body responds. And the best part? Each of these practices helps not only your blood pressure, but your sense of calm. Because when your nervous system feels safe, your blood vessels respond. And when your days have softness in them, your numbers often follow. We'll start with something as unremarkable as it is powerful. Something you already do, but may not be doing fully. Something that takes almost no effort, but quietly regulates the entire cardiovascular system when done with intention. Let's begin simply with the breath. Not the kind you take when you're rushing. The kind that anchors you back into your body, back into balance, back into the place where healing actually begins. It's the first thing you ever did. Long before you spoke, long before you walked, the breath arrived, soft, primal, untrained, and everything in your body responded. What we forget, especially later in life, is that breathing was never just about survival. It was about rhythm, regulation, a conversation between body and mind that runs beneath the surface of every moment. And when it comes to blood pressure, that conversation becomes even more important. This first quiet secret is not a product or prescription. It's the breath, but used on purpose. Most of us breathe shallowly without realizing it. Fast, high in the chest, barely engaging the diaphragm. Especially when we're worried. Especially when we feel watched, measured, tested, like when that blood pressure cuff tightens around the arm. But slow, deep breathing sends a completely different message through the body. It tells your heart, there's no danger here. It tells your blood vessels, you can relax now. And it tells your nervous system, we are not bracing, we are arriving. When you breathe slowly, 5 to 6 breaths per minute, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the one responsible for calm, digestion, healing. Studies have shown that even just 5 minutes a day of this kind of breathing can lower systolic and diastolic blood pressure numbers. Not just in the moment, but cumulatively over time. It's not a trick. It's not a hack. It's how your body relearns safety. The kind of safety that opens vessels instead of tightening them. The kind that softens the jaw, slows the heartbeat, and sends the mind gently into stillness. And it doesn't require silence or perfect posture. You could do it sitting in your car, at the table, while waiting in line. You inhale for 4 or 5 counts, pause, and exhale slowly for 6 or 7. You feel the breath drop low into your belly, expanding you from the center. You don't force it, you follow it. And if your thoughts wander, you gently return. You say to yourself, This is how I remind my body it is safe. That's the key. Not perfection, not control, just rhythm, repeated gently. Elaine, 70, told me she started practicing breath work while boiling water for tea. It became my little ritual, she said. I don't even count anymore. I just follow the feeling. And my numbers started easing down, even when nothing else in my life changed. This kind of practice isn't loud. It doesn't feel like doing, but it works because it shifts the internal chemistry of the moment. And that's where blood pressure lives, not just in the artery, but in the atmosphere of the body. And when the breath becomes a signal of calm, the entire system takes its cue. But breath is just one part of the rhythm. The next habit works from the outside in. It has nothing to do with food and everything to do with what you're standing on. Because how and where you move may matter more than how far you go. Let's walk there together. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need sneakers with memory foam or a fitness tracker that talks back. You don't even need a full hour. What you need is to move gently, rhythmically, and especially outdoors. The second quiet secret of better blood pressure is so simple it often gets ignored. Walking in fresh air, without urgency, without performance. It's not about burning calories. It's about allowing the body to regulate itself through motion. When you walk, especially outdoors, your muscles contract in waves. These gentle contractions help push blood through your vessels, support the return flow to your heart, and keep your circulation from getting stagnant. The blood doesn't have to work as hard to travel. The heart doesn't have to push so fiercely. The pressure, quite literally, lowers itself. And it's not just the heart that benefits. Walking regulates insulin levels, supports digestion, reduces cortisol, and improves the elasticity of your arteries. Not by force, but by rhythm. And when that rhythm matches the sway of your arms, the sound of gravel beneath your feet, the shift of sunlight through leaves, something softens. Your breath deepens without thinking. Your thoughts begin to space themselves out. You begin to feel not rushed or productive, but present. And that presence does something powerful for your nervous system. It shifts you from bracing against the day to belonging inside it. That shift alone helps reduce sympathetic nervous system overactivity, one of the drivers of chronic hypertension. Barbara, 73, told me she started walking a slow loop around her block every morning after breakfast. I don't time it, she said. I don't try to go farther each day. I just show up. I listen to the birds. I wave to the neighbors. And I breathe a little easier when I get home, not just physically, but emotionally. That's the kind of medicine we forget exists. The kind that doesn't feel like effort, but offers real, measurable change over time. Even 10 to 15 minutes a day can shift your baseline. Not just for your heart, but for your entire being. And if you can't walk far, or at all, simply sitting outside in the light and air can begin this recalibration. Your body responds not just to motion, but to environment, to temperature, to light, to sound. And when you place yourself in nature, even in the simplest way, you retune your internal rhythms to something older than worry, to something that knows how to flow, not force. Of course, movement and breath help stabilize what's already moving. But sometimes, what raises pressure is not speed, it's accumulation. And that brings us to the next gentle practice. One that doesn't ask for action, but for release. Not of salt, not of caffeine, but of the tension we carry without noticing. The kind that lives in the jaw, the shoulders, the clenched hands. And we'll meet that next. Some people think of high blood pressure as a condition of the heart. But if you listen more closely, you begin to realize it's also a condition of holding. Holding tension in the shoulders. Holding your jaw tight during conversation. Holding your breath when reading the news. Holding your stomach in, your spine rigid, your hands curled. Holding emotions. Holding opinions. Holding everything in day after day until the body forgets what it feels like to release. This third quiet secret isn't a supplement or a food. It's the practice of letting go. Not in your mind, in your muscles. Your nervous system is always scanning your body for cues. Are we safe? Are we in danger? Do we need to brace or soften? And when your muscles stay tense, even subtly, Your body interprets that as a state of ongoing stress, which means elevated cortisol, faster heartbeat, narrowed blood vessels, higher pressure, and the most frustrating part, you might not even notice, because this kind of tension isn't dramatic. It's ordinary. It becomes your baseline. You carry it into the grocery store, into phone calls, into bed, and your body whispers, "We're still on alert." That's why this secret is so important. It's not about fixing anything. It's about checking in. A few times a day, pause and ask yourself, where am I holding? Scan from the forehead to the chest, from the shoulders to the stomach, from the hips to the fingers. Are you clenching your teeth? Are your shoulders slightly raised? Are your fists closed around nothing? Then soften, not forcefully, just with permission. Drop your shoulders an inch. Loosen your jaw. Let your belly move as you breathe. Rest your hands palms up in your lap. And if you can, close your eyes for 10 seconds. That's it. This isn't meditation. It's reconnection. It's giving your body a signal that the moment is safe, that the breath can deepen, that the blood can flow without resistance. Henry, 75, said he didn't realize how much he tensed his back until his physical therapist pointed out. I'd sit down and stay rigid without knowing. I thought I was relaxed, he laughed. Now, he checks in before every meal. A breath, a body scan, a release. I eat better. I sleep better. And my numbers? They started to shift too, because the body doesn't just need movement. It needs permission to stop racing. That's how pressure softens, not only in the arteries, but in the way you carry your whole self. And once you begin to feel what ease feels like, really feel it, you want more of it. Which brings us to the next practice. Something that helps bring not just softness, but steadiness. A quiet habit that aligns not the muscles, but the hours of your day. Not a schedule, not productivity, but a sense of rhythm, and how honoring it can gently guide the pressure down without a single pill. There's a quiet intelligence in rhythm, not the rigid kind that fills a calendar, but the kind that gives your body something to lean against. A gentle knowing. This is when we rise. This is when we eat. This is when we rest. This fourth secret of healthy blood pressure often hides in plain sight. It's not about doing more. It's about doing things in rhythm. Your body, at its core, is a system of cycles. Your heart beats not at random, but in tempo. Your breath flows not in bursts, but in waves. Your hormones rise and fall in patterned loops. Your digestion operates on cues. Your sleep follows light and dark. And when those rhythms are supported by outer patterns, when meals, rest, movement, and stillness come at regular times, your body feels safe. Your system begins to trust the day. But when everything is unpredictable, scattered, last minute, your internal rhythm gets lost. The nervous system doesn't know what to prepare for. The stress hormones stay elevated longer. And blood pressure subtly begins to rise, not dramatically, but steadily like a drumbeat, just a little too fast. That's why creating gentle routine is one of the most powerful things you can do. Not to become rigid, but to remind the body what to expect. Start with your mornings. Wake at roughly the same time, even on weekends. Eat within the first hour of rising. Go outside, or at least face the window. Anchor your system in daylight and motion. Then consider your meals, not just what you eat, but when. Try eating around the same times each day. Avoid long, erratic gaps followed by heavy late-night dinners. The body doesn't like surprises at 8 p.m. And in the evening, create a rhythm that prepares the body for slowing down. Dim the lights. Soften the sounds. Do the same thing in the same order, even if it's simple. Brush teeth, stretch, journal, or sip something warm. Over time, this repetition teaches your system when to release tension, when to lower heart rate, when to sleep. Judith, 69, told me she didn't realize how out of rhythm she'd become. Every day was a guess. I ate when I remembered, slept when I was tired. Everything felt loose. She started small. Same wake-up time, breakfast at the table, a short walk before lunch. It felt like giving my body a melody to follow, she said. And my blood pressure, it started responding. That's how it works. When the outer rhythm becomes steady, the inner rhythms begin to slow. And the heart, the beautiful, persistent heart, starts to trust the pattern. Of course, even with rhythm, movement, breath, and release, there's one more piece. One that often gets overlooked. It doesn't come from the body. It comes from what and how we take in the world. Because what surrounds you, what you watch, what you hear, what you absorb, can lift you or slowly weigh you down. And sometimes, the best thing you can do for your heart is turn the volume down. You don't need to raise your voice for your blood pressure to rise. Sometimes it climbs slowly, quietly, under the surface, without sound, without motion. Because not all pressure comes from inside the body. Some of it comes from the outside. From the constant flood of headlines, of arguments, of opinions wrapped in urgency. The background hum of worry disguised as staying informed. The flashing screens, the angry news anchors, the non-stop scroll of stories that leave your jaw tight and your chest a little heavier than before. This sixth secret is the one no doctor measures, but your nervous system does. And it's this: your environment matters. Not just your physical space, but your informational one. Every time you absorb something stressful, whether it's a loud conversation, a political rant, or even your own internal monologue while reading the news, your body reacts. Blood vessels constrict, cortisol rises, breathing shortens, muscles brace, even if you're sitting still, even if you don't realize it. That's because your nervous system isn't rational. It's responsive. It doesn't know the difference between a real, present threat and a story about one. It listens to tone, to noise, to repetition, and it takes its cue from what you consume. So one of the kindest things you can do for your blood pressure is filter the noise. Not eliminate it, just soften it. Reduce the time you spend absorbing distressing input. Turn off the news earlier in the evening. Choose one moment in the day, maybe during a meal or before bed, where you don't allow headlines, emails, or even tense conversations to enter. Protect it like you would your rest. And notice how your body responds. Some people feel the shift within days. A deeper breath, less grinding of teeth, fewer emotional spikes that take hours to settle. And over time, the numbers may follow, because blood pressure doesn't live in isolation. It lives in context, in how safe you feel in your skin, in how much you carry before you even lift a finger. Rose, 74, told me she started keeping the TV off in the mornings and replaced her scrolling with quiet music and birds outside her window. At first, I felt disconnected, like I was missing something, she said. But then I realized what I was missing was peace, and that mattered more. That's the invitation, not to ignore the world, but to give your heart fewer reasons to race when nothing is chasing you. Because your body listens to more than your diet. It listens to your surroundings, your choices, your silence. And when you build a softer world inside and around you, your pressure begins to reflect that. So let's step back, breathe. Remember, these 6 practices: slow, nourishing breath, mindful movement in nature, the release of silent tension, daily rhythm, light in the noise, and presence in what you consume, are not magic, but they are medicine, gentle medicine, not to control your blood, but to support the systems that already want to return to balance. And that's the point. Your body isn't broken. It's responsive. And when you give it rhythm, permission, ease, it often gives you stability in return. Thank you for being with us. Share your own experience in the comments. What helps your body feel calm, steady, safe? Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'll be here again soon with more ways to feel supported, one quiet rhythm at a time.